Sawadee Cap Grizzlies. Oof, I'm still hanging out from my bout of DMV, up all night, shitting and vomiting.
Morning Grizzlies, and it is not a good one. It's supposed to be going on the quad bike ATV thing today, but it's finally caught me. After 2 weeks in country, the food poisoning has caught up. I've been awake all night, diarrhea and vomiting, so absolutely wiped out, dehydrated as well from it. A bit of a mess in the room as well, caught short a couple of times. There's no point trying to guess where it's come from, because the last 2 days I was having lunch on an island, on a day trip to an island, so of course the sanitary conditions are going to be great there. This big en masse group feeding on an island, pigs running around, the monkeys and everything as well. It might even have been that dodgy tasting coconut water I had yesterday, because that one definitely went right. It was warm and it was hanging. I've just thrown up pretty bad in there, so feeling a bit better, but it's often that thing, isn't it, where you throw up and you get everything out of you and your body settles down a little bit, then it's like, because it's got the foreign objects that it doesn't like out, but after a while it sort of starts coming back again, so I've got to be wary of that and not think, oh, I feel alright now, I'll be okay. If I do go, it's going to have to be lots of water, black shorts, just in case. It's either just stay here and recover, or be Grizzly, go out and get through it. Can have 5 minutes and then see what I think.
Was cracking. The quad bikes were shit. The one I had to swap it halfway through. It's cutting out all the time. Backfiring. Anytime I gunted it and put on any power, it'd start rattling below and clunking. So geezer came along and swapped it. I just cracked it on with it. I thought, well, it's to be expected, innit? I was like, they gotta be shit. This is it, just deal with it. He swapped it out for me. But the route was great. Bit of tarmac up into the mountains, through the jungle. And then off onto the dusty tracks as well, then up towards the peaks. A lot easier than on a dead e-bike. And the battery's conked out halfway up, and you've already been cycling out for 4 hours that day. And yeah, just reinforcing me how hard that day was as well, going up then on a quad. Cracking route. We stopped off at a viewpoint, a cracking view of Samui and out towards Koh Phangan.
Lady boy? No.
Which one likes the lady boys? Who likes the lady boys? Which one? Cracking little spot up here on the Samui viewpoint. Zoomed up here on the ATV quads. Assuming that's Koh Phangan just behind me there, distance. Yeah, cracking little view. Glad I have ignored the upset stomach, spewing and shitting to have a day up here. That's good for me once I got a bit of fresh air. Otherwise, what else would I have been doing? Just moping around the hotel, thinking about being unwell. So, still feeling rough, but glad I made the decision to be Grizzly and come out and enjoy it. and stop at a waterfall. I didn't have any water. The guy told us this before, and he was like, "Oh, you go to a waterfall, but it's time of year, whatever. There's no water there." I said, "Well, it's not a waterfall, then, is it?" And we stopped like there's a zip line place you could jump. You could jump on that, and we had a free. There was a fridge there with free drinks for us. Sweet. There's other people there. One just like private. And they were like, "Oh, do you want to go on the zip line, Westy?" I was like, "No, mate. I've jumped out of aeroplanes with a Bergen rucksack strapped to me for a living. I'm good." Got my 4-2 Commando t-shirt on. Bit cheesy, but whatever. Deal with it. And there's a Russian guy, big massive Russian guy, come to me. "You're in the army?" So of course I'm like, "Marines." "Oh, right, yeah. You're Russian airborne." So we're having a little chat, showing each other pictures and stuff, talking tactics. It's quite funny, isn't it, with everything that's going on in the world at the minute. You got a Royal Marines Commando and a Russian paratrooper just chilling out in the mountains of Koh Samui, Thailand. And we had a photo, but he didn't want to show his face, so he pulled the cap down over his face and had his shades on. Yeah, he's there with 2 girls. I thought they were French. They were Russian as well. And they crashed their quad not long after starting off. Looks like we had a bit of a drama. Somebody gone off the trail, crashed. Gotta go Westy. They put tyre on the scooter. Not ideal. And then they were too scared to have it. It was 2 of them on there on their own. So they had to piggyback on to the other ones. She burnt her ass jumping on the back of one of them. Quite funny. French girl had just kept us all waiting, has burnt her ass getting on the back of the dude's quad. Burnt hoop. She needs one of those toilet seats like I had in the W Hotel. Some water on the option. So it was like 52 pound, I think. For the tour, it was worth it for me. Got out to see what I wanted to see, all the high features and up, looking down onto the island. I love a bit of quad bike action as well. And this one was incident free, thankfully. Because the last time I was on some quad bikes abroad, the last couple of times was in Bolivia, South America. And that was all right. Once in La Paz, around the mountains there, the hills, with the lad Colin, who was on the backpacker trail that I was hanging around with. And the other one was in Copacabana, not the beach in Rio, Brazil, but a place in Bolivia just off Lake Titicaca, the largest high altitude lake in the world. And I'd hired a bike to go out around the area around this Copacabana. Didn't check it beforehand. Needless to say, I got out, climbed up to one of the high features, started spinning around to come back down. The brakes didn't work, didn't work. This was the time where I did have to be Grizzly. It was like, I could either push it down this feature now, or it was quite sort of straight, and then it curved right at the bottom. I was like, I could just gun it, and it's gonna plateau out, flatten out at some point. So I just need to keep control until it does, which I did, and got away with it. Obviously, why I'm stood here now. So I took it back, ranting and raving at the guys who'd given it to me. And I was like, "I want my money back." And they're like, "No, blah, blah, blah," arguing. I was like, "Right, I'll tell you what then. I'll have one of those ATV quad bikes off you as a compensation package." And they were like, "Yeah, go on then." It's just like typical there. I just taken a bike off them that had no brakes. It was just rubbish. And they'd quite gladly given it to me to go up and down these features. So what's the next thing I do when I get back? Have a quad bike off them. The brakes did work on that one, so it was a nice little day out. The time before that didn't end so well. Oman, Middle East, pre-Afghanistan training, quad bikes were lined up. Westy, the stuntman, decided he was going to go and have a little play with one of them, and it didn't end well. walking around with like bad ribs and one side of me for a good week after that. One of the officers asked me about it. Must have just slept awkwardly. And he was like, oh, I heard there was a little incident with a quad bike. No comment, sir. He just smiled. Talking of ribs, mine are still hurting from that scooter crash. Shoulder and sternum and chest are all right. Just the ribs are still taking a while to heal. Yeah, so this DMV, it's the first time I've ever had food poisoning in my life. Usually pretty good with stuff like that, drinking water and eating in other countries. We all get the shits, don't we? You deal with it, mostly from drinking too much. We all have had the shits before, obviously from food or whatever, but actually like this, it's the first time. And I said to myself, get a grip, Westy. You've climbed Ben Nevis 4 or 5 times after drinking all night, cracking on and the hangover kicking in halfway up, like in snow-capped conditions. You've lived homeless, cycling to London over 7 days, each day whilst living homeless, and then ran the London Marathon at the end of it. You've done a hostage rescue in Baghdad after 2 days of no sleep and illness, not eating. Been to the Arctic, survived in the jungle, survived many a morning 6-mile run in the Royal Marines, been absolutely wasted and plastered from the night before. But you can get through this. It's a bit of quad biking. Let's have it. Journey to and from the quad bike guide place. I enjoyed that part of it just as much. It wasn't one of the air-conditioned vans, which when you get in them, you just get your phone out, don't you? It's dark, it's air-conditioned, just get your phone out. Whereas those ones, it was the pickup truck with the cage on the back, so open air. So you just sat at the back, put your phone away and just enjoy it. So I got to see a little bit of the island and the little towns and markets while we were going through, just there and back. And that reminds me of, I love thinking back to these austere times in the Marines, being in warm places, and that reminded me of being in Brunei, Borneo. Similar terrain there, high features with jungle and same climate. And driving around there, and you can imagine the big like army green truck things that we all sit on the back of. Like back home when you get on one of them, it's just pure misery. You're freezing cold, like even though they got the sides down, you're freezing cold, miserable, uncomfortable, and you're generally going somewhere where you're going to be even more freezing cold, miserable and uncomfortable. Out there in Brunei, even though we were heading off for arduous stuff in the jungle, it's just nice just looking at that scenery. Beautiful green jungle and high features, going down these open roads with a bit of ocean on the other side, in your lightweight jungle gear, and that warm air just rushing in, sat there, blue sky, taking it all in. So it took me back to that. So I quite enjoyed that little trip to and from there. Not sure how long this DV is going to hang around. I've stopped vomiting now. I haven't checked my pants yet because it was a couple which are hit and miss, but I'm still in my shorts, so it'll soon be revealed or whether I got caught short and didn't clench hard enough, but I didn't vomit, which was good. Gonna head off to the pharmacy now and get some. Just gonna walk in and say Thai tummy and see what they got to offer. It's a good job really. I didn't book that flight out of here today. I wouldn't have done the ATV thing, but this morning it's just been in misery, and then I'm to pack and go to the airport, get there, get to the new hotel and check in. It's actually turned out well that I have stayed here for another day because I'm just relaxed tonight now. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go for a swim, eat in. I'm not sure. I got some protein bars. I might just stick with them, and loads of fluids. See if they got some electrolytes, like the Diorolite type things in the pharmacy, because it's starting to get cramp in my hamstrings and legs. I haven't been drinking enough water anyway out here. I know that. Smash it tonight. I feel like I'm just moaning all the time at the minute. I'm not. I'm just putting context to things. Probably some people who've come across the last couple of videos thinking, who is this guy? You're traveling to like tropical paradise locations and just moaning about everything. Like I said, I'm not. It's just been a rough day, but a brilliant one as well. ATV bike tour was just what I wanted. So yeah, I'm not eating very well, and DMV's dehydrating me. Could be a good thing in taking the positives. I do need to lose a bit of belly flab, so hopefully I'll eat away at that. And I just got to accept that I'm going to have like string skinny arms for the rest of my trip till I get back home. Got to take it rough with the smooth. Probably going to get charged extra for cleaning, housekeeping for the room. There's shit all over the sheets and towel. What are you going to do?